Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be ranking every Mario Kart game from best to worst, in my opinion. So this list will not be including any of the arcade games, the new Switch game for Mario Kart Home Circuit, because I classify that more of a spin-off. But other than that, we're going to be ranking the 9 mainstream games from Super Mario, so the Super Mario World Tour. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this. So in 9th, we're obviously going to be putting Mario Tour, because Mario Tour is just a bit of a shit game overall. It was a massive cash grab for Nintendo, or everything you have to pay for to unlock stuff. You pay for loot boxes, you pay for characters, for parts of the karts. The game's just a bit of a letdown, and also it just doesn't run very well, especially for a newer Mario Kart game, even if it's stuck to running on mobile. Even then, it didn't all have to be dedicated around money, like most mobile games tend to be nowadays. Like, they could have dedicated it more to the fans and what the fans want, but everything just feels like a cash grab, and it's just not fun to play. Everything's slow, and yeah, I haven't really played much, so it has to go 9th for me. Okay, so in the 8th place, it's a bit of a controversial one. Many people may agree with this, but many people may not. So I'm going to be putting Mario Kart 7. Now, there's a few reasons why Mario Kart 7 is going in 8th, but one of the main reasons is it's just a bit of a boring game. Like, after Mario Kart Wii, following up Mario Kart Wii was going to be hard, and all they had was a glider, and it was in 3D. It was nothing compared to the original Mario Kart DS. There wasn't much added to the game. There's quite a lot removed from the game, actually. Like, I do not even remember the battle mode from that game. I don't remember half the tracks. The retro tracks were a bit iffy. The only thing that's holding that up, in my opinion, is Woohoo Island tracks. Like, the circuit tracks on them, they were fun. But other than that, and the introduction of circuit tracks, and it's just, there was nothing really added, and it just wasn't very fun. So in 7th place, I'm going to be putting Super Circuit, because it's above 7, and I know a lot of people aren't going to be very happy with that, but I feel Super Circuit is shunned way too much. Like, it's a bad game, but it's not that bad. I mean, it's not necessarily good. Like, drifting is terrible, a lot of the tracks aren't memorable, but it did what it did want to do right. Like, for a handheld game back then, back in the 90s, it was good for its time. Like, the graphics were pretty okay, to be fair, for the Game Boy Advance, and it played well enough to work for when it was meant to be working, and it didn't have anything before to like try and be better than. So as a fresh move from console to handheld for the Mario Kart series, it did it well. Like, the gameplay, while not perfect, was quite smooth, and some of the tracks were fun. The character roster was mediocre, but other than that, there's not a lot to say about the game, other than the fact that Rainbow Road's music in that game was a banger. Okay, I'm sure people have been expecting this one to come at some point around now, but I'm putting Super Mario Kart in 6th place, because it's old, I guess, and even though that doesn't really matter, like, the original Mario game is really fun still, it just hasn't aged very well. Like, drifting and mini turbos, there's no mini turbos, drifting is lackluster. The courses are generic, they repeat each other, but some credit that I will have to give the game is the fact that for the first Mario Kart game on that generation of console to be 3D and look so good as it does, for like when it came out back in the 80s, it really pushed the boundaries of the console and the hardware that it was running on, and for that it deserves to be higher. than many of the other games I've mentioned already, which happen to actually all be handheld, which I'm not saying that the handheld games were bad compared to the original game, but they just don't stand out for me, and as it's all personal opinion, if I enjoy a game more than another one, I'm gonna have to put it above it. Like, that's just how it's gonna work, and if you don't agree with that, then leave a comment and just say what you don't agree with. But other than that, Super Circuit, mediocre game. So in 5th place, I'm going to be putting Mario Kart 64 for the reason that it's a fun game. It may be one of my more preferred Mario Kart games, but compared to the top 4 that I'm going to be putting, it just hits the bottom of them. Like, the tracks were good, but they weren't the best. And the Rainbow Road, it was just too long-winded. I don't know what Nintendo were thinking of. I guess they wanted it to be like a credits, but nobody wants to play the credits in a racing game. Like, come on, you can't even like fall off unless you're stupid. The chain jumps, they just did not come hazardous. They just kind of got in the way at times, but other than that, they didn't really cause too much of a problem. And the rest of the track, it's just a bit bland. For a Rainbow Road, it's meant to be the finale. It's meant to stand out. It just didn't. It just was kind of boring, and for that, it kind of ruins Rainbow Road for that game, like, completely, because it's not a fun track. But I'm not knocking it down just for its Rainbow Road. The drifting is bad, the controls are sticky, it just doesn't feel or play as well as it used to feel, and that's just because of, well, hardware's got better, games have got better, so it just hasn't aged like some of the other games may have. But other than that, it is a fun game, and give it credit where it's due. For the time, first 3D game, like racing Mario Kart game, it was above its league back in the day, and it still holds some nostalgic value for me, and it is still quite fun. Okay, so coming in at number 4, we are going to be having Double Dash. And Double Dash is a fun game. You can use 2 characters, it had an amazing character roster, a load of the tracks were really fun. But you may be wondering, why am I placing it so low down, if, like, so far back in 4th, maybe not top 2, if I'm just saying it's so godly, and it's because of the special items. Now, when you have 2 characters in Double Dash, that allows you to have the feature to get these special items, which are meant to be quite powerful, and they could have used these to a great advantage and made the gameplay chaotic, but instead, half of the items don't do shit. Like, you throw a shell and half the time it just goes off the track if you don't use it right, and I guess you could argue it's for skill, but in the heat of the moment, most of the tracks do not fit it. Like, you can throw the shell and it will just bounce straight off, and there's only certain places you can use the shell on. Fireball, a lot of them. The chain jump was the only good one in my opinion, but yeah, that's kind of knocked it down a little bit. But other than that, everything else about the game was amazing. The time trials was smooth, the game is smooth, the gameplay is smooth, the drifting works. Even if there's no hopping, it still worked for what it did. The character roster was amazing, and the fact that you could use 2 characters, and whichever characters you used together included like boosts with each vehicle statistic. You get different statistics and vehicles depending on which characters you use. That was very advanced, especially for when the game came out, and that's one of the key things that keeps this game so playable to this day. Okay, so in at number 3, it's got to be Mario Kart DS. That game is a gem to me. It's a national treasure. It should be cherished forever. And it comes in at 3rd because compared to top 2, it's not as good as it used to feel, like gameplay-wise, compared to these 2 nowadays. And that's just because of it aging. But it has a high nostalgic value for me, and that's why it's coming up so high. Even if a lot of people may not agree, it is a god tier of game. Like, the tracks were phenomenal. The character roster wasn't that good, but it still had some really good characters and solid characters for what it could handle. You even had fucking Rob. Like, can you complain? The mission mode was elite. Like, I spent hours as a kid playing through that, like just sitting there trying to get max rank I could on every single mission. And time trials was fun to play through, and I mean, I'm a big time trialer, I like time trialing, but I especially enjoyed it in Mario Kart DS, and I don't know what it was about it. Like, it sounds weird, but it was fun. It was fun to actually time trial in Mario Kart DS. And the fact that you could play online, like, a lot of the things that the game introduced should have been carried over, like the mission mode especially. Like, you even had boss fights and that was, to be able to play Mario Kart or play it as though it's a story mode, in a sense, I guess, that really made that game something, like, unique. And for that's what's making it so high up on the list for me, as well as nostalgic. It's fun to play, there's some exploits in the game you can use with dry bones, and just a lot of the stuff you could do in the game. It was just so good to play, and I'm sure a lot of you will have played it at some point and agree that the game was a fun game to play. Okay, so number 2, I'm sure you're not surprised by me saying this, is Mario Kart 8, or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And it comes second not only because of bias, but there's a few issues I have with the game. One of the issues being item distribution, which I've mentioned so many times about the game, where you'll be in first, you'll have a horn, blue shell will be coming, next thing you know, someone, as soon as the blue shell's about to hit, someone will get a bow and use it, it will instantly target you. Like, I have never experienced where someone will get a boo, like playing with the CPU or from a friend, and it won't target the person in first if it's you. Like, if you're playing with other people. And if you're playing on your own, it will always target you as long as you're in front of that person. Like, I've never experienced a time when it hasn't done that, to my knowledge. And I know it's quite hard to tell, but it just doesn't feel like it ever happens. And then there's also where you'll be in first and you'll constantly be getting coins, you're a little bit ahead. All the other places will be getting, like, aggressive items like stars and golden mushrooms and even bullet bills, and it's just broken. Because it really means that, like, instead of having skill to keep first, it's just item luck. It's just luck on whatever items people get. And you just have to hope that you get lucky with the items, I guess, that you get. Hope you get a shell, so you can actually defend the 5 red shells that are going to be thrown at you from behind. And other than that, the game does have quite a few solid areas. Like, there's some really phenomenal track designs. Like, it has the best tracks, like, roster, especially with the new DLC coming out. It's remastering some of my favourite all-time tracks from the Wii and the DS and all that, Waluigi Pinball, Mushroom Gorge. I will say that they did botch Coconut Mall, so I'm hoping they haven't botched Mushroom Gorge and Waluigi Pinball, but we'll find out in a few days if they have or not. I'm really hoping they haven't. But the character roster is another thing that keeps us down in second. Like, many of the characters are just copied skins of each other. Like, there's so many Mario skins, Peach skins, there's all the Koopalings, and it's just repetitive. There's 5 baby skins, and overall, it just doesn't feel like the characters are unique, or enough effort was put into making a unique quality character roster. It's just all, like, shoved together in one. Like, whichever popular Nintendo characters they could find, they just shoved it in. They didn't even, like, bother to contemplate putting Funky Kong back in, putting new characters in that hadn't been there before, favourite characters. It's just different clones of the main characters and the Koopalings. Although I do like the fact that they put in, like, Link and the Inkling characters, some Animal Crossing characters, so that kind of bumps it back up. But other than that, the game is solid overall, a really solid But yeah, that's about all I have to say for Mario Kart 8. It is a fun game, but it's not my favourite. Okay, so for number one, you saw this, it's Mario Kart Wii. This probably comes off as a bit biased, but I have so many reasons why I'm going to name this number one. And just bear with me, and I'm sure after I've gone through a few reasons, you'll see why I've put this up there. First of all, it's nostalgia. And it may just be for my age range. I'm 18, so it's a nostalgic game for me, as well as DS. So some people may have Mario Kart 7 as their nostalgic game, some people might have Double Dash. I mean, Double Dash is kind of nostalgic, but I didn't really play it that much. Another thing is the music. The music is a jam. You can hear any of the music from that game and you will instantly know it's Mario Kart Wii music. There's Coconut Mall, there's Mushroom Gorge, there's Toad's Factory, Rainbow Road, all of them are a jam. Even Bowser's Castle. It may be a little dreary, but it's still just, it hits, it slaps. The music is just some of the best in the whole franchise. The tracks themselves, they're fun to play. You can optimize and time trial so much due to the ultra shortcuts, getting more skilled, practicing inside your spin drifts, wheelies. There's so many skills to practice and learn, and it just makes it the game. You always improve. You're getting better every single day. The modding community is massive. The online server, there's so much to it still. Now it's been brought back up with CCGP and all that, and there's just so much to the game. The battle mode, the tracks in that are incredible. There's retro battle track, there's retro tracks that have been remade so well. The only downside to the game, for me, is that there isn't more in the vanilla version. Like, there could be so much more added, and I would love it. More tracks, more updates, but they can't update it anymore. That's what CCGP is though. Whereas the modding community is constantly feeding into this game and just making the game even better because of giving it the recognition that it deserves. Because it's one of, if not the best Mario Kart Wii game. Well, it's got the best Wii game for Mario Kart because it is the only game for Mario Kart on the Wii. But it is one of the best Mario Kart games, in my opinion. And while it's always an argument between it, there's so many controller options, it's just, there's so much utilises it to the player, for newcomers, for OG players. And there's so much put into it, so much detail, all different stat boosts and skills required, the item usage, the item distribution, there's so much, and that's why it has to be number one on the list. Anyways, that is the end of this video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment what you would like to see. If you do not agree with my list, you can leave a comment on your list and ordering the track, the games even. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see this done in the future, please let me know, and I can stick to it. I'll try and be better at commentating it. I'll write scripts and whatever. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll see you in the next video.